back with another video, folks. And I figured let's do an Amtrak Northeast Regional route today. Alright. Actually, you know, I want to check out the West Somers Railway really quick with their regular trains, just to see what they have to offer. Nothing much there. What do they have for timetable? No way. No way, they have all these ones too? For Thomas and Friends? No way. What? How did I not know about this? Guys, I never knew this. I never knew they had all these other Thomas routes, diesel routes, and the LBSC 70 Thomas routes too. I never knew that. I was only checking out this West Somers Railway only to see just the regular trains that they have and not Thomas, but yeah, looking over here, looking at these ones, and then what do you know? That right there just caught my eye. It caught my eye, and yeah. No, it's crazy. I never knew about that. I was just checking out the other regular trains just to see what the West Somers Railway had to offer before the two Thomas and Friends DLC packs came along. But yeah, that was interesting that I found those other ones. That's cool. Alright, I'll have to do those ones another time for one of those that I never knew about. So yeah. Just like how some of these other ones I'll do another time too. So yeah, but today we're doing the Northeast Corridor, New York Penn Station to Trenton. As you can see where the green check mark is, that means I already completed that one. Alright. Alright, you know what? Let's do this one. Let's do Amtrak train number 93, the Northeast Regional. The one that's running from Boston, South Station in Boston. So it's coming from Boston and it's going to Norfolk. So yeah, let's do that one, the one that's going from Boston to Norfolk. but we're only going from New York Penn Station to Trenton. Because trust me, folks, if we drove all the way on this train from Boston to Norfolk, because Boston is where this train number 93, the Northeast Regional, is coming from, and it's going to Norfolk. If we went all the way from Boston to Norfolk for the entire Amtrak number 93, the Northeast Regional's journey from Boston to where it started to Norfolk, where it's going, we'd be sitting here for hours if we did that. But no, this route only goes between New York Penn Station, in New York City, that's underneath MSG, Madison Square Garden. It's going from New York Penn Station to Trenton. That's as far as this route goes, between New York Penn Station and Trenton. So yeah. What the heck? Why'd he kick me out? That's bullshit that he kicked me out. So, yep, that's the one we're gonna do. And this is what I was gonna do before it kicked me out. So yeah, I'm gonna do Amtrak train number 93. Yeah, I'm gonna do Amtrak train number 93, the Northeast Regional. It's coming from Boston, Massachusetts, which it's Boston South Station it's coming from, and it's going to Norfolk. But since since this part of the Northeast Corridor route on Train Sim World 5 only runs between New York Penn Station, which is New York City, and it's the train station that's underneath MSG Madison Square Garden. It runs between New York City, New York Penn Station to Trenton. This Northeast Corridor route and Train Sim World 5. So yeah, and yeah, folks, trust me, we're not. If I was to drive this train all the way, if I was to drive Amtrak 93, the Northeast Regional, all the way from Boston to where it started its journey, going to its final destination to Norfolk, that would take, oh my god, hours and hours and hours and hours. You're talking. It would take, and I'd be here all day and all night. But luckily, we're not going that far at all. And thankfully, this route on the Northeast Corridor on Train Sim Road 5 only runs between New York City, New York Penn Station to Trenton. But yeah, this is going from New York City to Trenton. And yeah, that's the train I'll be driving. So yeah, luckily I don't gotta drive Amtrak 93 Northeast Regional all the way to Norfolk. I'm only going from the Penn Station to Trenton as far as I'm going. So yeah. And let's hope it doesn't kick me out this time. Let's hope it does not kick me out. So yeah. Alright, it looks like we have 9 cars on the train. 9 cars on the train. Plus the ACS 64 locomotive, which makes 10 right there, as you can see. Yeah, so it's definitely gonna be 9 cars and 1 ACS 64 locomotive. Like, I guarantee you, I'm predicting 5 coaches, 1 cafe car, 2 coach cars, and then the very end car, the very last car, will be the business class. So yeah, let's see if I'm right. But first, we got an Excella train there. Let me do all this first. Turn the cab light on. And forward. And there goes the Excella. Light on. Alright folks, so yeah, I'm predicting the way the order is gonna be is for the 9 cars plus the 1 ACS 64 locomotive, that for the order, the way this ACS 64 locomotive is gonna pull this train, the 9 car train, it's gonna be 5 coaches, 1 cafe car. Yeah, 5 coaches, 1 cafe car, 2 coaches, and then the business class car. So yeah, that's 9 total. So let's see. Say 1. Right, 1. There's 2. 3. 6, 7, 8, 9. I called it, folks. I called it. Alright, let's open these doors. Alright, folks, I called it. Yeah, so now the Northeast Regionals, they usually poll about 8 to 9 cars. And sometimes you see them pull like 7 cars. Like, like 3 coaches, 1 cafe. Like for the 7 cars, 3 coaches, 1 cafe, 2 coaches in a business class, or it can be the opposite. And for like 8 cars, it could be 4 coaches, 1 cafe, 2 coaches, 1 business class, or the opposite. And same thing with 9 cars, which is this right here. 5 coaches, 1 cafe, 2 coaches, and 1 business class, or the opposite. But mostly, folks, I've seen Northeast Regional trains, no matter how they are, most Northeast Regional trains I've seen carry or pull meaning the ACS 64 locomotives. Pulling the Northeast Regional trains, the ACS 64 locomotives pulling the Northeast Regional trains on the Northeast Corridor. Usually the Northeast Regional trains. Yeah, the Northeast Regional trains, they're usually about 8 or 9 cars. And sometimes, but not that often really, you sometimes see 7 cars on a Northeast Regional train. 7 cars on a Northeast Regional train, but mostly you see like 8 or 9 cars on a Northeast Regional train. So yeah, alright, time to lock the doors. Wait, look at this one. Is this a Keystone? This must be a Keystone. Well, this must be another regional train. Or wait a minute. Oh no, this is a different kind of train. Huh. What the heck? Wait a minute. New Jersey Transit. So yeah, like I said, folks, they some Northeast Regional trains, but like on the Northeast Corridor, they get pulled by ACS 64 locomotives, and then when they're not on the Northeast Corridor, they get pulled by P42 locomotives, and maybe ALC 42 locomotives too, but I'm not quite sure yet. But as for like the amount of cars that they pull, it's usually either 8 cars or 9 cars that you would see on a Northeast Regional train for most of them. But sometimes you might see 7 cars only. but mostly it's like 8 or 9 cars. All right, here we go, folks. Enough talk. And sometimes, folks, well, usually beneath Penn Station or on the Northeast Corridor, anywhere, I don't know why they don't blow the horn before they move or whatever, though, but I don't know, folks. It's a long story, so I'm just gonna blow the whistle. And away we go. So yeah, folks, like I was saying, that yeah, I'll say it one more time, then I'll shut up. Daily, a lot of Northeast regional trains, folks. Yeah, lots and lots of Northeast regional trains on the Northeast corridor. They get pulled by ACS 64 locomotives, where when Northeast regionals are not on the Northeast corridor, they get pulled by the P42 locomotives. Maybe soon to be, or maybe already, ALC 42 locomotives, but I'm not sure. But yeah, for Northeast regional trains that are not running on the Northeast corridor, or they are running on the Northeast corridor, because the ones that are not running on the Northeast corridor, they are pulled by P42 locomotives that I know of, but the ones on the Northeast corridor are pulled by ACS 64 locomotives. And whether they're running on the Northeast corridor or not on the Northeast corridor, that either way, most Northeast regional trains, either way, running on the Northeast corridor, pulled by ACS 64 locomotives, or not running on the Northeast corridor, pulled by P42 locomotives, and maybe ALC 42 locomotives as well. That for both of those reasons, that most Northeast regional trains, either way, are usually eight to nine car passenger trains. They're usually 8 to 9 passenger car trains, and sometimes 7 cars, but mostly they are 8 to 9 passenger cars. The more like cars and everything, I'll say. Like, if you guys know what I mean. So yeah. And now I will stop talking. Yeah, so I think that Northeast Regional train was 8 cars, I believe, or ours is 9 cars. So yeah, that's what I mean, folks. Some Northeast Regional trains will Most Northeast regional trains are 8 cars and 9 cars, and sometimes 7 cars. Whether it's on the Northeast Corridor pulled by ACS 64 locomotives or not on the Northeast Corridor pulled by P42 locomotives and ALC 42 locomotives, maybe too. So yeah, that's what I mean, folks. Oh boy. I'm going far over the speed limit. One more time, folks, some Northeast regional trains, alright, I'll say it one more time, folks, I'll say it one more time and then I promise I'll stop. One more time, alright? A lot of Northeast regional trains are 8 cars to 9 cars that you see the most, where sometimes you can see a Northeast regional train that is 7 cars. Yeah, most Northeast regional trains, folks, are 8 cars and 9 cars and sometimes 7 cars, whether they're running on the Northeast Corridor, getting pulled by ACS 64 locomotives, or running not on the Northeast Corridor by P42 locomotives, or sometimes ALC 64 locomotives. ALC 42 locomotives. So yeah. So yeah, folks. Alright, now I'll stop. So yeah, actually one more time. Alright, one more time, and then this time I'll stop. Most northeast most northeast regional trains are usually 8 cars and 9 cars, and sometimes 7 cars, but mostly 8 cars and 9 cars. So yeah, it's like that for both ways. Rather, it's on the northeast corridor that it's running on, getting pulled by a ACS 64 locomotive, or not running on the northeast corridor that's getting pulled by a P42 locomotive, or maybe to a ALC 42 locomotive as well. So yeah, alright, I said it. Wait, hold on, why are we going backwards? Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, why are we going backwards? There we go. There we go. Alright, actually, one more time I'll explain it, folks. Alright, one more time. So, I'll explain it for one more time, and this time I promise I won't say it again after this time, so. Yeah. Um, so, yeah, folks. Most Northeast regional trains usually have about 8 or 9 cars, 8 to 9 cars mostly, 8 and 9 cars I'll say, yeah, 8 and 9 cars I'll say is what they, okay, 8 and 9 cars is what they usually pull the most, and sometimes 7, rather they're running on the Northeast corridor, the Northeast regional trains getting pulled by these ACS 64 locomotives, or they're not on the Northeast corridor and they're getting pulled by P42 locomotives. Or maybe sometimes ALC 42 locomotives, maybe too, will get pulled by too, I'm not sure. But yeah, most Northeast regional trains, folks, are usually 8 cars and 9 cars, they are, and sometimes 7 cars, all on the Northeast regional. Well, the Northeast regionals, I'll say, all of them Northeast regional trains that I said, 8 and 9 cars, the most you see, sometimes 7, and yeah, you'll see them on the Northeast corridor getting pulled by these ACS 64 locomotives, and not on the Northeast corridor, they're pulled by P42 and maybe ALC 42 locomotives as well. So yeah, it goes like that for both of those. And yeah, mostly it's 8 cars and 9 cars you see with Northeast regional trains, and sometimes 7 cars. Rather, it's on the Northeast corridor, pulled by an ACS 64 locomotive, or off the Northeast corridor, pulled by a P42 or an maybe ALC 42 locomotive as well. So yeah. I will definitely not explain and repeat myself no more though. Now that you guys know what I mean of like a lot of Northeast regional trains usually are 8 cars to 9 cars and sometimes 7 cars. For those 3 ways of the Northeast regional trains, it's like that on the Northeast Corridor. When they run on the Northeast Corridor, pulled by ACS 64 locomotives. And when they're not, when the Northeast regionals are not running on the Northeast Corridor, they're pulled by P42 locomotives and or maybe ALC 42 locomotives as well. Which we already know that, folks, mostly, and a lot of you guys probably know it too, but more importantly, that the bigger thing is that it's mostly that it's like 8 to 9 cars that you see the most on Northeast regional trains, and sometimes 7. So yeah. And now this time I'm gonna stop. So yeah. Now that was a 9-car Northeast regional train. That one was 9 cars. Just like mine right here that I'm driving is 9 cars. There's a New Jersey Transit, which I don't know anything about them. All I know is all about Amtrak and all about Disney World trains and monorails and all the Disneyland California trains and monorails. That's all pretty much the trains that I know about the most. And same thing with Thomas and Friends too. But yeah. But yeah, Thomas and Friends, Amtrak, Walt Disney World trains and monorails, and Disneyland trains and monorails, the one out in California, Disneyland out in California. Those are the ones that I know about the most. For all of those that I mentioned, that's what I know about the most for trains. Because as for like CSX trains, Union Pacific trains, well, any freight train companies or freight train lines or freight trains in America, Canada, and anywhere else throughout the world, and same thing with like passenger trains in like Canada and throughout the world. I don't know much about either. The only things I know about are only Amtrak trains and where they go, mostly, and Thomas the Train I know about a lot, and Disney World, which is in Orlando, Florida. I know all about their trains and monorails, and Disneyland in California. I know all about their trains and monorails, and yeah, those are the only trains that I know about mostly. But as for like freight trains in America and Canada and throughout the world, I don't know much about them. And same thing with other passenger trains in Canada and throughout the world, I don't know much about. And same thing with amusement park trains in America or throughout the world or in Canada. I don't know much about either. Only Amtrak and where they go, what they do in certain cities or whatever. Thomas the Train, all trains and monorails in Disney World Orlando, and all monorails and trains in Disneyland California. Only those. So yeah. I might have mentioned it before, whatever, but I don't know. I don't know, folks. And there's a Keystone service. So yeah, one more time, folks. All Amtrak trains, or most Amtrak trains, I should say, I know about. Most Amtrak, or whatever, how I should explain it. However I should explain it. However I should explain it about Amtrak trains that usually, well, I know that, well, most Amtrak trains, or every single Amtrak train, yeah, most or every single Amtrak train I know about in America and Canada. I know where they go from, what cities they go to, what the names of the trains are, where they split up or do whatever, or they switch from diesel to electric, electric to diesel in certain cities or whatever. That and that. So yeah, Amtrak I know about the most is what I'll say and how I'll describe it, how I know it is. Yeah, Amtrak I know the most. Thomas and Friends I know the most, and trains and monorails in Walt Disney World Orlando I know the most, and Disneyland California, their trains and monorails I know the most about too. And as for like amusement park trains in Canada, the USA, and other parts of the world, I don't know anything about them when it comes to amusement park trains, but, and for freight trains in America, Canada, and throughout the world, I don't know much about those freight trains either. I don't know anything about them. I really do not know anything about them. And same thing with passenger trains in Canada and throughout the world. I don't know anything about them either. So yeah. Yeah, like I said, folks, the Amtrak, I know about them. Alright, one more time, and then I'm gonna stop saying it. Amtrak trains, I know the most. Thomas and Friends, I know the most. So yeah, Amtrak trains, I know the most. Yes, Amtrak trains, I know the most about. Thomas and Friends, I know the most about. So yeah, Amtrak, I know. Okay, I'll start over. Yes, Amtrak trains. Yes, Amtrak trains, I know the most about. Thomas and Friends, I know the most about. And trains in Walt Disney World, Orlando, and same thing with the monorails in Walt Disney World, Orlando, and Disneyland, California. With their monorails and trains, I know the most about. See, it's those things. Those are the four things that I know the most about. But as for amusement park trains in Canada, the USA, and throughout the world, I don't know anything about. Freight trains in America, which is the United States of America, and Canada, and throughout the world, I don't know much about when it comes to freight trains. And same thing with passenger trains for Canada and throughout the world, I don't know much about. And yeah, I'm not sure if there's any other passenger service trains in America, which is the United States of America, besides Amtrak. I'm not really sure, but if there are, then, or if they're just local trains in their area, then I would not know anything about them. So yeah, that's why I wanted to let you guys know. And just say it a little bit over and over so you guys know and all that. So yeah, because yeah, like when I go to rail fan and everything, if I ever rail fan these trains that I don't know much about, then you guys will know what I mean. So yeah, mostly I just like to rail fan. That's all I like to do. Just record random trains and everything because I just love trains. That's it. So yeah, alright, that's all. Alright, one more time actually, folks. Alright, so yeah, Amtrak trains. Okay, Amtrak trains. Amtrak trains. Thomas and Friends. Trains and monorails in Walt Disney World Orlando. For their trains and monorails, I know the most, and Disneyland California, their monorails and trains I know the most. So yeah, Amtrak trains, Thomas and Friends, Walt Disney World Orlando trains and monorails, Disneyland California trains and monorails. I know those four the most, and same thing. Well, not same thing, but amusement park trains in the USA, Canada, and throughout the world for amusement park trains. I don't know anything about other passenger trains in the USA. I don't know anything about, and in Canada as well. I don't know about their passenger trains and other passenger trains throughout the world. I don't know anything about. And for freight trains in the USA, Canada, and throughout the world, I don't know anything about really. I really don't, folks. But I have Railfan, CSX, Norfolk Southern, BNSF trains and all that, but I just don't know anything about that. And yeah, or even local trains like, the subways or whatever, the things like that. You guys know what I mean, or metros, whatever, that are in the local area. I don't know anything about them. Mostly all I know is just Amtrak, Thomas and Friends, Walt Disney World, Orlando trains and monorails, and Disneyland California trains and monorails. So yeah. So yeah, folks. Amtrak trains, Thomas and Friends, Walt Disney World Orlando, monorail and trains, Disneyland California monorail and trains I know the most only about. Because as for passenger trains, well, other passenger trains, whether it's metro, local, or whatever you want to name it, or subways, for passenger trains in America, which is the USA, and also in Canada and throughout the world, I don't know much about, and that includes freight trains in America, which is the USA, and Canada and throughout the world. I don't know much about freight trains, and same thing with amusement park trains in America, which is the USA, and throughout the world in Canada. I don't know much about either. So yeah, only Amtrak, Thomas and Friends, Walt Disney World Orlando trains and monorails, Disneyland California monorails and trains is what I know the most about only. So yeah, if anyone asks me. Alright, that's it for tonight's video. Leave a like and subscribe. Peace out.